Hello, and thank you for joining me. It's Krista, and I'm from Two Scrapbook Friends, and this is Friendzy Friday. Today we're going to be assembling a lovely little yellow box. Inside are two little yellow cards to give to a friend as a thank you gift or teacher's gift. And I've also thought of perhaps filling them with chocolate and putting a little name tag on the front and using it as a place card for a special occasion like Easter or Thanksgiving, Christmas time. So let's get started. Let me tell you first a little bit about the items we're going to be using today. You're going to need a piece of white cardstock, a piece of yellow cardstock, a piece of My Mind's Eye ledger paper, and a piece of sweet pea from Cosmo Cricket. I've already pre-cut my cardstock, and I'll give you the measurements as we go along so that you can cut yours and we can save a little bit of time. You're going to need a card piece that's cut that is 6 1/4 by 6 1/2. You'll need a piece that for the top that is 6 1/4 by 4 1/2. And you'll also need a piece or two, or as many as you like that you think might fit into the box for the little cards that you're making, and they're 6 by 3 inches. So let's first score our card. I should tell you a little bit about the Score Pal. The Score Pal is a wonderfully versatile tool. It has pre-scored lengths for different patterns that you might use. Card making, accordion flowers, these little 3D boxes I've used to mark the back of a layout page in an interesting pattern as well. So it's quite versatile and comes with its very own little bone folder. So if you would take your cardstock for the bottom and place it in on the far left of your Score Pal. If you don't have a Score Pal, feel free to use the trimmer, scoring blade on your trimmer. That would also suffice. You're going to want to place it with the long edge in, and that should say 6 1/2 inches. You're going to want to score on that side at the 2 1/2 inch mark and at the 4 inch mark. You'll have something that looks like this. Then you would turn it 90 degrees, placing the 6 1/4 inch length along the side, and score at 1 1/2, turning, and score at 1 1/2. You'll now have a tic-tac-toe pattern on your paper. And at this time, I'd suggest that you use your bone folder to fold along the creases and make the shape of the box quite firm. Boxes are a little more sturdy if their sides aren't bone, and with the bone folder that certainly guarantees that. If you would look here, you'll see the small box here and the small box at the top. We're going to use our sharp scissors, and we're going to cut out 2 tiny little pie shapes along the bottom. Just cut along the score line and then in slightly so that you'll get a tiny triangle shape, and it'll look something like this. You'll do both sides. And once you've done that, we will get out our terrifically tacky tape and adhere the box together. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with terrifically tacky tape. It's a wonderful adhesive item. We have used it for adhering heavier items that might need a little bit more stability than a tape runner or a glue dot, for example, especially in the case of a box where that might be opened and closed or items put inside. I suggest when using the terrifically tacky tape that you don't peel off the red backing until you have adhered it to your item. It can be a little bit persnickety when trying to manage it without its little red backing. And once you've done that, I suggest, and you're going to want to adhere, I use a triangular location for the tape so that we cover maximum area with minimal product usage for you. And when you are going to apply these sides here, you're going to want to make sure that the terrifically tacky tape is applied along the outside edge of that. You can see it there. And that'll allow you to have a smooth edge on the outside of the box. And it'll fit snugly for opening and closing the lid that we'll be making. So you'll see that it's there, and I'll just fold it nicely over. I like to apply the front of my box in one seam so that it fits nice and tightly. And there you have the bottom of the box. I'm going to ask you to take your the top that you cut at the 6 1/4 by 4 1/2, and I'm going to ask you to just slide it in to your score pal, and I'm going to ask you to score along the 1 1/2 inch mark on all 4 sides so that you will have something that looks like this. The assembly and the cutting of the lid is identical to that of the bottom of the box. You're going to cut your 2 small pie shapes out of the small squares here so that they will look like this. Don't forget to score along the edges so that you have a nice box shape. Once you've done that, we're going to assemble it with terrifically tacky tape, the same way we did the bottom, and we're using the same principles. Now, this terrifically tacky tape has lots of great uses aside, from extra stability. I've used it to pleat ribbon. A few weeks ago, there was a Friendzy Friday at Two Scrapbook Friends with Avril Tanner, and she detailed a lovely article on pleating ribbon, which is a wonderful look for scrapbook pages, softened, and yet looks very difficult. If you've ever tried to do it without terrifically tacky tape, you'll know what I mean. I'm almost there. And one more piece will get us there. And this tape seems to last me for a really long time. And a little bit certainly goes a long way. And there we are. So there's the front of our box. Once you've made the top of your box, just set it aside again, and we'll work again with the bottom. At this time, I'm going to ask you to take your sweet pea paper. I'm going to ask you to cut 2 pieces. One piece is 3 1/4 inches, and the other piece is 3 by 2 1/4 and 3 by 2 1/2. And then put the 3 by 2 1/2 aside. We're going to adhere the 3 and 2 1/4 to the front of the box. At this point, I just get out my regular tape runner. I like to run it right along that top edge. It just makes it easier for getting the lid on and off if that top edge is quite firmly on the box. And I'm going to say that that's it. If you want to distress this, feel free to use your ink as you like, or not. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as is. And then I'm going to ask you to set it aside and bring back the lid that you made. At this time, I'm going to ask you to get your paper cutter out and cut a piece of the My Mind's Eye. And this piece is going to be 3 by 1 1/2. Sorry about that. 3 by 1 1/2. And then I'm going to ask you if you want to distress it to do so. And then we're going to get your paper hole punch out and put a hole right here along the side. At this time, I'm going to ask you to take a piece of ribbon. I have chosen an 18-inch length of red gingham ribbon. I've pre-cut a tiny sharp point at the top, and I'm going to feed that through the hole. You'll notice on the finished lid of the box that the ribbon is fed underneath the My Mind's Eye pattern paper, up through the hole and tied on the side. You'll see that it's underneath. And so what I do in order to facilitate the threading of this, so I'm not thinking, gee, what do I need to do? I want to adhere it to the front of the box. I feed the ribbon from underneath, just like that, and place it on the top, just so I can check placement like that. You'll also notice that if I use my tape runner and run a small length along the one side of the ribbon and then another length along the ribbon, that it not only serves the purpose of holding the ribbon in place, but also of holding the pattern paper in place. And then it should look like that. You'll wrap this around here like this and tie it in a jaunty little knot. And once that's done, I like to trim my ribbon in little sharp points. It looks lovely and finished. Next, I'm going to ask that you take your cream-colored cardstock and your 2-inch scalloped punch and punch a circle out of the cardstock. If you wanted to take this opportunity and distress, you can. Take a scrap of the yellow cardstock used to cut your box, and take a 1 1/4 inch punch and punch a hole, a circle, out of it, and the SRM sticker. This is the SRM Smile sticker. It's really versatile. These stickers are truly transparent. I've used them for card making, in scrapbooks, in little ATCs. They're really very handy. And once you've adhered that cherry to the circle, I didn't distress this circle. You certainly could if you wanted to. And then using my foam squares, I'm going to apply the circle to the top of the scallop, just like so. Then I'm going to use using my tape runner, I'm going to apply just one strip along the top, because you want it to sit right on the box. A little bit of this lip will allow you to have some of the box, have it come down over the bottom of the box. We're now going to make the card. Take that 6 by 3 inch piece that you cut, put it in your score pal, and score at the 3-inch mark. Using your bold folder, make sure you are folding that nice and sharply. You're going to take your 3 by 2.5 inch Cosmo Cricut and distress if you like or not, it's up to you, and apply it to the front of the box, or rather to the front of the card, fairly close to the bottom, just like so. I also took the time to cut a 12-inch piece of ribbon. I didn't cut a point onto this one since I'm just wrapping it around, but I do try to match the bow and the ribbon to the one that's on the front of the card. In this case, I made a little knot, and I'm going to be trimming those edges the same way that I trimmed them on the front of the box. If you would take a scrap of your cream-colored cardstock and use a 1.5 inch square scallop, you can do that. I've cut mine with the Cricut. If you didn't have a Cricut, you could use a silhouette or even your paper trimmer and cut a normal regular square and distress the edges. I'm going to do that here with my ink, and I'm going to add the other sticker on this strip. I'm going to apply a couple of pop dots, and I'm going to stick it on the front of the card. And there you go. A lovely little box and a little card to match. I hope you've enjoyed this with me tonight, and we hope to see you at 2 Scrapbook Friends. Enjoy.